Everyone knows about the oil money in Houston and the tech boom in Austin, but the real wealth in Texas does not live in the big cities. The true power players, including billionaires, tycoons, and celebrities, have retreated to tiny, independent towns that exist right under your nose. These are not just neighborhoods. They are sovereign municipalities with their own police, their own laws, and zero property taxes in some rare cases. From fortified enclaves near Fort Worth to hidden villages inside Houston that ban all businesses, this is where the 0.01% actually sleep at night. If you are looking for the center of hidden wealth in 2025, drive straight to Westlake. It sits quietly between Fort Worth and Dallas, but it operates like a private kingdom. This small town is built around the Vaquero Club, a gated community so exclusive that even the guards have guards. Residents include the Jonas Brothers, professional athletes, and CEOs of major corporations like Charles Schwab, who moved their headquarters next door. The average income here consistently ranks as the highest in the country, often topping $500,000 annually on tax returns alone. The real draw is the privacy. Westlake was designed to be invisible. You can drive past it on Highway 114 and never know that behind those stone walls lies a Tom Fazio golf course and estates worth $20 million. It is the standard for money that wants to be left alone. Westlake is for the new power players, but Westover Hills is where the old money has resided since the 1930s. Located just minutes from downtown Fort Worth, this town is technically an independent city, but it feels more like a private park. There are only about 277 homes here, and they rarely go up for sale. When they do, they trade hands quietly between families who have known each other for generations. This is the home of the Bass family, one of the wealthiest dynasties in American history. The police force here does not just patrol. They know every car that belongs and every car that does not. You will not find a gas station, a grocery store, or even a sidewalk in some parts. The zoning laws are strict. One house per massive lot. No businesses, no exceptions. It is a time capsule of 20th century oil wealth that has refused to change for nearly 100 years. Deep inside the density of Houston lies a collection of independent towns known as the Memorial Villages, with Piney Point Village standing out as the main attraction. In 2025, data shows this is often the wealthiest location in Texas by per capita income. If you drive through it, you might miss it entirely. There are no streetlights or curbs. The residents fought to keep it looking rural, so massive $10 million mansions sit behind dense forests of pine trees on country lanes. It is a town strictly for living. Commercial zoning is banned. That means you cannot build a shop, an office, or a restaurant here. If you want a gallon of milk, you have to leave town. This inconvenience is the point. It keeps the traffic out and the property values astronomical. It is where Houston's energy tycoons go to escape the city without ever actually leaving it. Right next door to Piney Point lies its slightly more social sibling, Hunters Creek Village. It shares the same massive lots and independent police, but it has a different style. This is where you find the Houston Country Club, a social hub that has defined the hierarchy of Texas society for decades. The homes here are estates in the truest sense, often sprawling across multiple acres in the middle of a metropolis. What makes Hunters Creek unique is its fierce independence. They have their own mayor and city council, who are usually residents protecting their own interests. When Houston tries to expand roads or change drainage, Hunters Creek pushes back. It is a fortress of legal boundaries. The wealth here is not just about money, it is about political autonomy. Residents pay a premium for the right to tell the fourth largest city in America to stay off their lawn. Bunker Hill Village completes the trio of Houston's wealth. Piney Point is the rural hideout, and Hunters Creek is the social club, but Bunker Hill is the quiet residential giant. It is slightly further west, offering even larger plots of land for those who find the other villages too cramped. The defining feature here is the trees. The city has ordinances that make cutting down a tree more difficult than renovating a kitchen. This canopy creates a natural privacy screen that high walls cannot match. In 2025, real estate data shows Bunker Hill properties holding value better than almost anywhere else in the state. It attracts the quiet billionaires, such as surgeons, tech founders, and generational heirs who want the prestigious 77024 zip code but have zero interest in being seen. It is the final piece of a puzzle that locks billions of dollars into a few square miles of forest. Do not confuse this with the Westlake near Dallas. Westlake Hills is the center of power in Austin. Perched on the steep limestone ridges overlooking the capital, this is where the tech billions landed. When Dell and other tech giants turned Austin into Silicon Hills, this is where the executives bought land. The geography does the work for them. The roads are winding, narrow, and steep, acting as a natural filter against casual traffic. From a Westlake Hills patio, you can see the entire Austin skyline, but the city cannot see you. The architecture here is distinct, featuring modern, glass-heavy designs that hang off cliffs. It is a sharp contrast to the brick mansions of Dallas or Houston. This is money that likes to hike, bike, and look down on the world from a distance. It remains an independent city, fiercely protecting its views and its borders from Austin's rapid expansion. If you want the resort life without the travel, you move to Barton Creek. Just west of Austin, this area is defined by the Barton Creek Resort, but the residential wealth surrounding it is the real story. This is not just a town, it is a community for people who measure their free time in tea times. The terrain is rugged, carved by the creek itself, which allows for estates to be tucked away into hillsides and canyons. It draws a specific crowd, such as retired Fortune 500 CEOs and the ultra-wealthy who want a vacation home that serves as a primary residence. The security here is layered, with many neighborhoods sitting behind double gates. Unlike the older money towns, Barton Creek feels manicured and managed. Every lawn is perfect, every view is curated, and the connection to the Texas Hill Country feels natural. It is luxury living on autopilot. Rollingwood is the tiny, powerful neighbor located between Westlake Hills and Austin's Zilker Park. It is incredibly small, less than 1 square mile, but the concentration of influence here is staggering. Because it sits on the flatland below the hills, it is one of the few wealthy enclaves that is actually walkable. You will see tech billionaires pushing strollers and famous musicians walking their dogs. It feels like a classic American neighborhood, until you check the price tags. A teardown property here costs millions. The appeal is proximity. You are 3 minutes from downtown Austin, but technically outside the city limits. This means you get the independent police and government of a small town alongside the nightlife of a major city. It is the preferred spot for the younger, active, wealthy elite who are not ready to retire to the hills. Highland Park requires specific attention. It is technically surrounded by Dallas, but legally, it is a separate fortress. This is the most famous, wealthy town in Texas for a reason. It is where you find the Dallas Cowboys ownership, the oil barons, and the financial titans. The town planning was a masterpiece of the early 20th century, dedicating 20% of the land to parks. Despite the greenery, this town is aggressive about its independence. They have their own legendary school district, their own emergency services, and a police response time measured in seconds, not minutes. The aesthetic is strictly controlled. French chateaux sit next to Spanish colonials, all maintained to perfection. Living here is a statement. It says you want to be in the center of the action, but you want to play by your own rules. In 2025, the entry price for a basic home here is simply shocking. Attached to the north of Highland Park is its twin, University Park. Together, they form the Park Cities, but they are distinct. University Park is anchored by Southern Methodist University, and the wealth here has a slightly different character. It is the home of the academic elite, the lawyers, and the doctors. Highland Park features grand estates, but University Park focuses on density and community. The parks are full of children, the library is a central hub, and the vibe is deceptive. It looks like a normal upper-middle-class suburb, but the household incomes are among the highest in the nation. It shares the same fiercely independent school district as Highland Park, which is the primary driver of real estate values. Parents here will pay millions for a tear-down shack just to get their kids into the Highlanders' school system. It is proof that in Texas, the right school zone is a high-value asset. Terrell Hills in San Antonio is where the quiet, generational wealth of South Texas resides. Unlike the flash of Dallas or the new money of Austin, Terrell Hills is understated. You will find mid-century modern homes sitting next to pre-war estates. It is located just minutes from Fort Sam Houston, and historically, it was the home of high-ranking military families and cattle barons who moved to town. The culture here is polite and private. You do not see Ferraris parked in driveways. You see vintage Land Rovers and heavy-duty trucks. The wealth is tied to the land, specifically ranching families who have owned millions of acres for a century but choose to live here for the community. It remains an independent municipality, allowing it to bypass San Antonio's taxes and regulations while maintaining a charm that feels entirely removed from the modern world. Just west of Terrell Hills lies Olmos Park, a town entirely enclosed by San Antonio. This is possibly the most architecturally diverse, wealthy town in Texas. In the 1920s, a wealthy oil man developed the entire area and invited the best architects of the era to build whatever they wanted. The result is an impressive collection of English stone cottages and Spanish haciendas. The town is tiny, with only about 2,000 residents, but the list of names is heavy. Titans of the grocery industry, car dealership moguls, and media owners live behind these limestone walls. The center of town is the Alameda Circle, a grand boulevard that feels like it belongs in Europe. Olmos Park is for the wealthy who value culture and aesthetics over pure square footage. It is dark, shaded by massive oak trees, and completely silent at night. It is the kind of place where money goes to read a book. Southlake is the outlier on this list. Other towns try to hide, but Southlake puts it all on display. Located near DFW Airport, this town grew rapidly in the last 20 years. It is the definition of new money. This is where professional athletes, successful franchise owners, and corporate transfers buy their first Texas mansions. The town square is a replica of a nostalgic American downtown, but filled with high-end retail like Apple and Sephora. Football is the main priority here. The Carroll Dragons are a national powerhouse, and the high school stadium cost millions to build. Wealth here is communal. It is about being seen at the game, driving the lifted G-Wagon to the town square, and having the perfect pool. It lacks the history of Westover Hills, but it makes up for it with pure economic power. Marfa serves as an anomaly. It is not a suburb, but a small town in the high desert of West Texas, 3 hours from the nearest airport. Yet, you will find Billionaires' private jets parked on the tarmac of the tiny local airfield every weekend. Marfa became the unlikeliest art capital of the world. After artist Donald Judd bought an old army base here, the ultra-wealthy art collectors followed. Today, you have crumbling adobe structures owned by New York hedge fund managers and heirs to European fortunes. They come here for the anti-luxury luxury. It is minimal, dusty, and chic. You might see a celebrity drinking a Lone Star beer at a dive bar next to a ranch hand. The real estate prices for these tiny adobe homes have skyrocketed, defying all economic logic. It is the place billionaires go when they are bored of being billionaires. Cordillera Ranch is located in the hills north of San Antonio. This is not just a town. It is a lifestyle community. Westlake has a golf course, but Cordillera has everything. A Jack Nicklaus signature course, an equestrian club, a rod and gun club, and a private spa. It draws a specific type of billionaire who wants to be a cowboy but sleep on 1,000 thread count sheets. The properties here are massive, often reaching 50 to 100 acres. You are not buying a house. You are buying a territory. In 2025, as more people flee the dense cities, this area has seen a surge of wealth from Californians and Texans alike who want space. It is rugged, it is gated, and it is the modern version of the Texas dream, owning the horizon, with a private clubhouse just down the road. Texas is often seen as a land of cowboys and oil derricks, but the reality of its wealth is more complex. These towns prove that the richest Texans do not want to live in the penthouse of a skyscraper. They want control. They want their own mayors, their own police, and their own rules. From the thick forests of the Memorial Villages to the limestone cliffs of Westlake Hills, wealth in Texas creates its own geography. It does not just buy a home. It buys a town. And usually, unless you have the right gate code, you will never even know it is there.